Building a house is a complex process that requires planning, design, and construction. People who have careers in the housing industry perform a unique variety of work that builds houses and improves communities, creating our homes and our neighborhoods. From the architect who designs and creates the structure, to the general contractor who oversees the inner workings, to the interior designer who brings efficiency and beauty to each room. Each person contributes to the final product, a house. Of course, many other professionals are at work all along the way. From the computer-aided design technician making digital floor plans for an architect, to the contractor's electrician putting in the electrical wires we never see but so often use, to the lighting consultant showing an interior designer how light affects the room. All are housing professionals who require special knowledge and skills to turn the idea of a house into a reality. In this program, we will look at all the necessary work that goes into conceptualizing, constructing, and decorating a house. We'll explore the professions of architect, general contractor, and interior designer and gain insight to what their jobs are really like. We'll also examine the education and business skills required to work in these and other housing careers. An architect designs and supervises the construction of buildings. He or she is the first port of call for any new housing that is to be built. Architectural firms vary in size, from just one architect to a few dozen people, and they might not all be architects. Alex Schabel is an architect employed by Booth Hanson, a medium-sized Chicago-based firm of about 30 people, including architects as well as other designers. As part of an architectural team, Alex consults the firm's clients about their needs for the house they want designed.
A day in the life of an architect, it could be depending on what you're working on or what stage of a project. If you're working in the design phase of a project, you might be sitting with your team in-house and designing and working things out and kind of sketching and then testing things out.
She moves the project forward by recruiting other housing industry professionals, from engineers who oversee construction of the building to suppliers of doors and roofing experts.
If a project is under construction, you might be getting a lot of phone calls and a lot of questions.
In the course of a housing project, architects rely on many other professionals to assist in turning the idea of a house into a reality. The architect should have an understanding of all the different work being done throughout the building process, but it is their knowledge of building design that guides the whole development, from the planning stage to completion. Let's take a look at the roles of an architect's assistant, a computer-aided design technician, a model maker, a construction manager, and a landscape architect, all of whom are integral in planning a house. An architect's assistant helps Alex visualize her designs by hand sketching floor plans. These can take weeks to devise, with time needed for the painstaking detail to show exactly where each wall and component will be. A CAD, computer-aided design technician, takes those drawings and creates a 2- or 3-dimensional image of what the house will look like when it's built. The CAD technician understands the spatial concepts, but is guided by the architect, who is ultimately responsible for the safety and integrity of the building design. From there, a model maker shows Alex how the plans for the house will shape up by creating a scaled-down version of the structure. Again, Alex oversees and approves the construction of the model, which can be made of wood, paper, plastic, or all three.
Model making can be really fun. Depending on the size of the model, you pick how much detail you want to show and you measure out the pieces and assemble it and make a little mini building.
When the model is finished, Alex reviews it with her architectural team and then shows it to the client, who might approve it or request changes. Once the architectural plans are approved, the project moves into the construction phase. From here, a construction manager brings a knowledge of budgeting, materials, and scheduling to the table for the construction phase of the project. He'll tell Alex how much time and money the construction requires. Finally, a landscape architect who has been involved from the very first stages of design adds to the architectural plans for the building. At this point, they've considered the location of the construction and designed the arrangement of the driveways, walkways, and greenery that surround the proposed structure. The architect works with a team of skilled professionals: the architect's assistant, the computer-aided design technician, the model maker, the construction manager, and the landscape architect to plan a construction project. If Alex worked for a smaller firm, she might create her own CAD drawings or build her own models. The smaller the firm, the more likely that job titles and responsibilities overlap and that employees juggle more than one task. Keep that in mind when deciding what skills you plan to master and when you start your job hunt. But whether the firm is small or large, the process of getting a building project underway is about the same. Once a client hires an architect, the two discuss the project goals and concept designs to give the architect a clear idea of what the client is looking for. The architect then meets with building engineers to discuss the most practical and safe ways to achieve their desired design results and to begin more detailed planning. At the same time, she asks the CAD technician to start the computer drawings. During all phases of the project, the architect continually checks with and gets approval from the client and consults with engineers to address construction codes and regulations. The model maker starts building a physical model, which will bring the project one step closer to the next phase. When the plans are drawn, the models are approved, and the client has signed off on it, the project moves into the next phase: construction. While the architect is accountable for the building's planning and design, the general contractor is responsible for the nuts and bolts of construction, literally. A general contractor directs and manages a construction project. He or she hires, supervises, and pays all the tradespeople who will follow an architect's designs to build a home, or work from plans to refurbish an existing structure. Daryl Washington is a general contractor and owner of his own small business, Darman Development.
Well, general contractors, we're responsible for all of the assembling of the necessary subcontractors and material, and obviously the liaison between each of the trades and the customer.
For some projects, he might be hired by an architectural firm to oversee the construction phase of a building. For others, he will be contacted directly by the homeowner. Customer service is a very important part of Daryl's job. Human resource management is also important, since Daryl will hire all the tradespeople, also known as subcontractors, to perform the many functions essential to construction. Examples of subcontracting professionals are plumbers, electricians, drywall hangers, painters, and floor covering specialists.
You have architectural plans and you schedule your disciplines. Once you've gotten the permits, then you schedule your excavations, and then you do your foundation. And once the foundations are set and cured, then you bring in masonry and concrete guys in to build the actual structure of the house. And then carpenters are coming in to do the rough framing, which is just putting up all of the partitions, the walls, the ceilings, the roof structures. And at that point, then you're bringing in your plumbers.
With the exterior structure of the house complete, a crew of tradespeople work to move the project forward another step. A plumber installs pipes to carry water from the main line and sewer system beneath the street, through the house, and into the kitchen and bathrooms. An electrician attaches the external overhead electrical lines to the house and installs wiring that powers central air and heating, lights, and appliances. A home's wires and pipes are rarely seen because of the mastery of a drywall hanger. This professional neatly places sheets of drywall, also known as plasterboard, along the interior house frame to smooth out the appearance of each wall. Even the most skilled home handyman often seeks a pro when it comes time to hang the drywall. A painter then primes the drywall and applies a top coat of color to every room. Floor covering specialists are also integral to the final construction, ensuring the hardwood, laminate, or carpet flooring is selected properly and installed safely and sturdily. General contractors employ and guide a team: plumbers, electricians, drywall hangers, painters, and floor covering specialists to meet the specifications of a project. But general contractors, like Daryl, also work closely with the architect, client, and engineers to help move construction along. Daryl reads the architect's drawings, which include plans for placement of the walls, pipes, electrical wiring, and ventilation systems. He also schedules and hires the subcontractors needed to complete the construction. Not only does the general contractor coordinate and supervise the different disciplines, he also ensures that all subcontractors perform their jobs correctly, so it helps to know something about how their jobs are done. He also makes certain that all work meets construction codes and regulations. Those codes and rules vary from state to state, which is why general contractors need to be licensed by each state they work in. The house is not done yet, of course. To bring the project into its final phase, the architect, general contractor, and client work with professionals in one more field: interior design. An interior designer specializes in designing architectural interiors and their furnishings. Kenneth Walter is the major partner in the interior design firm Gray & Walter. Like Daryl, he is a small businessman. He does most of his designing from his home office.
The first phase is designing the space, programming how it's going to work, how it's going to lay out, where the furniture is going to go, what the flow is like.
The interior designer often works with the architectural plan to understand the space and safety issues for a home's layout. However, they'll work directly with the client or homeowner when it comes time to decide the look of each room.
You select all the furnishings, you prepare a budget. From budgets, you go to proposals. Then the furniture is delivered to my receiving company. It's opened, inspected, delivered, and then I'm there to install it, put the whole place together.
As colors, fabrics, and furniture are selected for the interior, the designer works with several other professions to complete the job. This stage of design might also be done by an interior decorator, which is not the same as an interior designer. By comparison, interior designers are skilled at more than making rooms attractive. They are also well educated in making rooms safe. Kenneth Walter explains.
A decorator, they handle color, they might pick out things such as furniture, fabrics, rugs, but you wouldn't want to put life safety issues, fire codes, things like that.
Some examples of those who work with the interior designer are interior design assistants, kitchen specialists, lighting consultants, and custom furniture makers. The designer might have an assistant to help choose and obtain fabric samples for drapery and furniture covering, or accessories like handles, hinges, and doors that suit a particular design scheme. Interior designers might work with kitchen specialists to figure out the best layout and appliances for the kitchen. A lighting consultant can configure the best use of lighting and lighting fixtures. And custom furniture makers can design original furniture in a variety of styles and sizes to finish the look of a room. The interior designer leads a team of professionals, such as interior design assistants, kitchen specialists, lighting consultants, and custom furniture makers to finish the house and make the interior functional, comfortable, and attractive. It is also the job of the interior designer to collaborate with the architect, general contractor, and client while designing and planning the interior spaces. Much like the architect, the interior designer's first step is to determine a client's needs and preferences, decide on a design, and formulate a plan. Next, the interior designer begins to estimate costs. Following the chosen concept, the interior designer begins selecting materials, finishes, furnishings, lighting, and wall coverings, sometimes with the help of the larger team. Though, like the architect's role, the interior designer's responsibilities often get broader when the firm is smaller. And like the general contractor, the interior designer coordinates subcontractors, manages schedules, and makes sure the work is completed correctly and on time. When the project is finished, the interior designer and client walk through the property to ensure the client is pleased with the finished product. After final approval, the project comes to a close. Different levels of education are needed to become an architect, a general contractor, an interior designer, or any of the professions that work alongside them. Many schools offer the education to begin a housing career. To pursue a housing profession, students can begin taking classes in high school and continue in a vocational school to become certified in a specific trade. Or they can earn an associate's degree from a 2-year college, a bachelor's degree from a university, or a master's degree from a graduate school. Classwork, of course, can help students build skills and knowledge, gain a greater understanding of different professions, and prepare for further education. But the right courses can also help students build a portfolio to assist in entry to advanced education, internships, and careers. Many high schools, trade schools, and community colleges offer a variety of classes pertaining to the housing industry, from CAD programs and drafting classes to pre-engineering, shop, and materials classes. A portfolio is a collection of creative work that documents education, skills, personal development, and work samples. Schools and jobs have differing portfolio requirements, but students choosing to pursue architecture should consider including a CAD drawing, a perspective drawing, an architectural model, photography work, hand drawings, and an example of abstract work. Students wishing to pursue a career in interior design should also consider assembling a portfolio. Schools and jobs look for examples of drafting, space planning, and illustrations of interior space. A student's portfolio should demonstrate their sense of composition, space, color theory, and attention to detail. Although a portfolio isn't necessary for students wanting to pursue general contracting, it helps to gain practical experience in the field through an apprenticeship or internship in addition to further education. As an architect with several years of experience, Alex Schabel has advice for high school students interested in architecture.
One of the really neat things about architecture is that it's just sort of an alchemy of so many different disciplines. I think in high school, many classes pertain to architecture in the long run. So art classes, it's good to develop drawing skills and thinking in 3 dimensions. Writing is very important. Math skills are very important. And science, from the standpoint of thinking logically.
To become an architect, Alex Schabel went to a university with a 5-year program that was accredited by the NAAB, the National Architecture Accrediting Board.
To become an architect, you have to go to an accredited university. So generally it breaks down that you can go to either a 5-year accredited program, which will give you a bachelor's in architecture. The other way to go is if you do more of a traditional sort of undergrad, then you would transition into an accredited program and then go to 2 years of graduate school.
Alex had to take an internship before she could become an architect.
And once you get out of school, you begin a program called IDP, which stands for Intern Development Program. And what that does is it sort of tracks your hours as you continue through working. And it usually works out to about 3 years of hours that are needed in order to be able to sit for the architectural registration exams.
Alex passed her exam and now practices as a fully licensed architect and a member of the AIA, the American Institute of Architects. In order to retain her license and membership, Alex must take courses certified or taught by the AIA as part of her continuing education. General contractor Daryl Washington has these words for students wanting to enter into his field.
You need to have some very fundamental business skills. How do you manage the salaries and get the jobs done efficiently enough so that you can transition from one to the other and know that you save money and that at the end of the day that you made money.
Students interested in becoming a general contractor should enroll in an industrial arts or shop class. For Daryl, the path to becoming a general contractor was more a matter of experience than a formal education.
It took me about 3 years to get to the point where I was really knowledgeable. And a lot of those things did come from being on the job and working hand in hand with the architect, which then, gave me probably my initial experience with the structure piece.
Although Daryl isn't required to have further education as a general contractor, he does have to be licensed and prove he is capable of executing his job properly. Daryl is licensed in the state of Illinois. This ensures that Daryl's company is bonded in case of an accident and that he performs his work based on state construction codes and laws. Each state has different licensing specifications for general contractors. For students who prefer on-the-job experience, apprenticeships in general contracting and in trades such as electrical and plumbing are available. Someone like Daryl is happy to let enthusiastic and smart students shadow his daily work so they can see what he does and assist with smaller duties, acquiring different skills as the apprenticeship continues. Interior designer Kenneth Walter began his education in high school by taking a variety of art classes.
Painting, drawing, printmaking, learning about artists, learning about art history, and all of that's really good.
High school courses in color theory, graphic design, photography, drafting, and home economics also provide an early foundation for interior design. Students can then choose to go to a vocational school for certification in interior design, to a 2-year college to get an associate's degree, or to a university for a bachelor's degree. Kenneth Walter went to a 4-year interior design school that is accredited by FIDER, the Foundation for Interior Design Education Research. Since interior design is a very competitive field, a degree with FIDER or other national accreditation will stand out to future employers. For interior designers, a 2-year apprenticeship is required to qualify for an accreditation exam.
I worked for people before having my own business who mentored me and taught me things. So that's crucial for any young person to find someone who can mentor them.
Kenneth is a professional member of ASID, or the American Society of Interior Designers. ASID requires accredited members to continue their education through work and ASID courses. How long does it take a student to begin a housing career? To be an architect requires 5 years of architecture school, or the 6 years it typically takes to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree plus a master's degree in architecture. Add the 3 to 4 years of experience required for accreditation, and that's a total of 10 years after high school before someone can become an architect. Many of the subsidiary jobs associated with architecture, architect's assistants, CAD technicians, model makers, construction managers, and landscape architects, can get an associate's or bachelor's degree in their field. This means 2 to 4 years before beginning in their profession. To become a general contractor, it's useful to pursue a 1 to 2 year vocational education with a focus on housing trades, mathematics, sales, and marketing. Then, 2 to 4 years of experience is needed to be eligible for a license. That's 3 to 5 years to become a general contractor. Similarly, to become a plumber, electrician, drywall hanger, painter, or floor covering specialist, it would be worthwhile to go to a vocational school for 1 to 2 years before entering the work world. To be an interior designer, a 4-year bachelor's degree in a FIDER or other nationally accredited interior design program is required. From there, 2 to 3 years worth of on-the-job mentoring is required to have enough experience and skills for accreditation, for a total of 6 to 7 years. In order to be an interior design assistant, interior decorator, kitchen specialist, lighting consultant, or custom furniture maker, a 1 to 2 year vocational certificate or associate's degree is the best step to entering these fields. The typical commitment needed for the education, apprenticeship, and experience to become a licensed professional in the housing industry's major career paths adds up to: professional architect, at least 10 years. General contractor, about 4 years. Interior designer, 6 to 7 years. Subsidiary housing professions, 1 to 4 years. Incomes vary depending on geographic location, years of experience, and business specialty, but on average, housing professionals with these skills earn the following median salaries. Architect, $74,000. General contractor, $86,000. Interior designer, $50,000. With the right combination of education, experience, technical and business skills, and expectations, housing professionals can make an independent living in the industry they are passionate about. Alex, Daryl, and Kenneth all believe a formal education and business experience go hand in hand to build a successful housing career. And as highly experienced professionals, each also offers a unique perspective to those seeking to set up their own business in the housing industry.
Some kind of diplomacy is always a good thing, patience, being able to listen is key.
Running an office requires an understanding of business finance and human resource issues. Listening and communication skills are crucial to successful project management. Managing subcontractors and suppliers is also a very important aspect of understanding the business world.
Well, the crucial thing to understand about interior designers is it's 90% business, 10% creative, or what I call the fun aspect of it. It's not every day that you're out walking your client around, helping them pick out carpeting, drapery, fabrics.
Marketing and selling your work by effectively communicating proposals and contracts verbally and in writing is key to a successful business. Understanding the legal issues surrounding your profession will be key, as is the realization that as a business owner, you will likely spend more of your time on managing the business and less of your time on the creative or technical elements that initially drew you to the career. Let's review. It takes about 5 to 10 years of education and experience to become an architect, general contractor, or interior designer. But there are many related housing industry positions that require less preparation time and that the housing industry always needs. The architect's assistant, computer-aided design technician, model maker, construction manager, and landscape architects are crucial to the success of the architect. A general contractor needs plumbers, electricians, drywall hangers, painters, and floor covering specialists to complete the many facets of his project. And an interior designer would have a much more difficult time performing their jobs without interior design assistants, kitchen specialists, lighting consultants, and custom furniture makers. Entry-level positions in any of these areas usually require 1 to 4 years of education and experience. Housing professions are very important to the overall economy, but all of these professions are also important to making our streets and buildings safe, beautiful, and long-lasting. An architect turns a blank page into a plan. A contractor turns an empty lot and plan into a house. An interior designer turns a vacant house into a residence. These professionals, along with their teams of partners and assistants, work together to create our homes and communities.